Vrajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tera Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Jaya Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Gauranita Jaya Gauranita Jaya Gauranita Jaya Gauranita Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Hare Krishna. Today we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 26th chapter, entitled King Puranjana Goes to the Forest to Hunt. Text 21. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasa Preshwa Bhadrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Okay, please repeat after me. Pranjana Vacha Nunam Tvakrita Punyaste Hrityat Yashvishwara Shubhe Kritagaswat Masat Kritva Shiksha Dandam Na Yunjate Pranjana Vacha Nunam Tvakrita Punyaste Hritya Yashvishwara Shubhe Kritaghaswat Masat Kritva Shiksha Dandam Na Yunjate Pranjana Vacha Nunam Tvakrita Punyaste Hritya Yashvishwara Shubhe Kritagaswat Masat Kritva Shiksha Dandam Na Yunjate. Bolo. Pranjana Vacha Nunam Tvakrita Punyaste Hritya Yashvishwara Shubhe Kritaghaswat Masat Kritva Shiksha Dandam Na Yunjate. Is that all? You want to go?
Come on, one person.
Pranjana Vacha
Pranjana Vacha
Nunam Tvakrita Punyaste
Nunam Tvakrita Punyaste
Hritya Yashvishwara Shubhe
Kritagaswat Masat Kritva Shiksha Dandam Na Yunjate. Okay, word for word. Pranjana Vacha Pranjana said Nunam certainly Tu then Akrita Punyaha those who are not pious. Te Prityaha servants. Yeshu unto whom Ishwaraha the masters. Shubhe O most auspicious one. Krita Aghasu having committed an offense. Atma accepting as their own. Kritwa doing so. Shiksha instructive. Dandam punishment. Nayunjate do not give. Translation. In purport given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. King Puranjana said, "My dear beautiful wife, when a master accepts a servant as his own man, but does not punish him for his offenses, the servant must be considered unfortunate." Please repeat after me. King Puranjana said,
King Puranjana said,
"My dear beautiful wife,
my dear beautiful wife,
when a master accepts a servant as his own man,
when a master accepts a servant as his own man,
but does not punish him for his offenses,
but does not punish him for his offenses,
the servant must be considered unfortunate."
the servant must be considered unfortunate.
Purport. According to Vedic civilization, domestic animals and servants are treated exactly like one's own children. Animals and children are sometimes punished not out of vengeance, but out of love. Similarly, a master sometimes punishes his servant not out of vengeance, but out of love to correct him and bring him to the right point. Thus, King Puranjana took his punishment dealt by his wife, the queen, as mercy upon him. He considered himself to be the most obedient servant of the queen. She was angry at him for his sinful activities, namely hunting in the forest and leaving her at home. King Puranjana accepted the punishment as actual love and affection from his wife. In the same way, when a person is punished by the laws of nature, by the will of God, he should not be disturbed. A real devotee thinks in this way. When a devotee is put into an awkward position, he takes it as the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Tatenukampam susamikshamano punjana evatma kritam vipakam hridvagva purvirvi dadhanamaste jiveta yomukti parasadayabha. Bhagavad Gita 10:14-8. This verse states that the devotee accepts a reversal of his position in life as a benediction by the Lord and consequently offers the Lord more obeisances and prayers, thinking that the punishment is due to his past misdeeds and that the Lord is punishing him very mildly. The punishment awarded by the state or by God for one's own faults is actually for one's benefit. In the Mano Samhita, it is said that the king should be considered merciful when he condemns a murderer to death, because a murderer punished in his life becomes freed from his sinful activities and in the next life takes birth cleared of all sins. If one accepts punishment as a reward dealt by the master, he becomes intelligent enough not to commit the same mistake again. Om Agyanadhamarandhasya Gnanjana Salakaya Chaksu Ummilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Grahmayam Dadati Swaparantikam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinam Bandho Jagapate Gopasha Gopaka Kanta Raha Kanta Namoste Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishvano Sutadevi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kalpatharu Vyasa Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnave Namo Namah Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharane Nirvishesh Sonvari Pashatri Shatarane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in this purport and in this verse, we're seeing a stress on punishment and the reason behind punishment in a good way. So Krishna has this world set up in such a way that there is karma, a reaction for every action that we do. So if you do good, you get rewarded, and if you do bad, you get punished in one way or another. So by doing good things, you'll have good things come your way. And by doing bad things, you'll have bad things come your way. So this goes on birth after birth, birth after birth. So sometimes we question, why do bad things happen to good people? This is a common question that many people throughout the world ask, especially in other faiths as well, is why do good people that, maybe they're like really young and haven't even really done anything considered sinful, how come they have to face such horrible things? These things are happening from previous births. Nothing goes unchecked. Good or bad, you will receive your quota of pleasure and pain. You can't do anything to really fix that. Because you have a certain quota due to your deeds that you've done. Krishna is kind of like a parent who, in one sense, he allows you to do whatever you want, right? You want to go to material world? Okay. You want to enjoy like this? Okay, I'll give you the body like that. I'll give you the facilities. That way you can enjoy the way that you want. He's kind of like a liberal parent in that sense. But that doesn't come without a type of punishment behind those things. Like, okay, you could do what you want, but if you do the wrong thing, you're still going to have to pay the consequences for that. If you're going to murder someone, you're going to get murdered. If you're going to hurt or say mean things to someone, the same thing will happen to you, and so on. But if you do good things, then good things will come to you. This is kind of karma kanda in that sense of you do good, you do the right things scripturally, what are right things, then you'll have good things happen to you. However, there is a need for this punishment. There's a need for this. Just like from the government, a spiritual master, a parent, or so forth, they're not doing this because they want to necessarily punish you. It's not just like, hey, you're not doing anything wrong, let me just punish you and all that. These things are to help correct where we're wrong. So if you're going around hurting people, well, you're going to get locked up and you're going to be put in a cell, really small cell where you're really restricted on what you're allowed to do, on what you can and cannot do. And in this way, you're also around people that probably aren't the best of people as well, and not eating the luxurious food that you wish that you could eat, not sleeping on the comfiest bed and so forth, because they don't want you to make that mistake again. This is a reminder of where if you keep these activities up, this is where you're going to come to, and it can get worse than this. Otherwise, everybody would be like, lock me up, free bedding, free roof over your head, free food, all this and that. If they made it nice, everybody would want to go, but they're making it in such a way that they don't want you to come back. And, parents, they try to make sure that you're doing the right thing, that you're not going down the wrong path. They want to see you happy, but they don't want to see you getting happiness from the wrong things. They don't want to see you, or they shouldn't want to see you become a drug addict or abusive or any of these things. So when they start seeing tendencies that could lead to something further and worse in life, they try to correct that and pull the weed out from early on in life. And what to say for a spiritual master? Spiritual master is trying to take you out of the material world to put you on the spiritual platform and reposition you back in your relationship with Krishna, that loving relationship. But we're so conditioned and so many things are engraved in our head that we can't do these things on our own. We can't necessarily be like, oh yeah, I need to fix this, I need to fix that. We need someone to help guide us and show us what is it with ourselves that we need to fix. Because everyone's individually got their problems or their misunderstandings in spiritual life. What you understand, I might not understand. What I understand, you might not understand. So the spiritual master, in such a way, kind of tailors for each individual and corrects them where they need to be corrected. So there's a need for this type of punishment. And I was reading further into karma. Karma is different when you're a karmi, or a materialist, versus becoming a devotee. Prabhupada mentions in the purport to the verse that was mentioned in this purport, 10:14:8, Prabhupada mentions that Lord Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that a devotee who fully surrenders unto him is no longer liable to suffer the reactions of his previous karma. That's good news, right? In his mind, a devotee may still maintain the remnants of his previous sinful mentality. The Lord removes the last vestiges, or vestiges, I don't know how you pronounce that, vestiges, of the enjoying spirit by giving his devotee punishments that may sometimes resemble sinful reactions. The purpose of the entire creation of God is to rectify the living entity's tendency to enjoy without the Lord. And therefore, the particular punishment given for a sinful activity is specifically designed to curtail the mentality that produced the activity. Although a devotee has to the Lord's devotional service until he is completely perfect in Krishna consciousness, he may maintain a slight inclination to enjoy the false happiness of this world. The Lord, therefore, creates a particular situation to eradicate this remaining enjoying spirit. This unhappiness suffered by a sincere devotee is not technically a karmic reaction. It is rather the devotee's special mercy for inducing his devotees to completely let go of the material world and return home back to Godhead. So, I've had many people ask me about this quite some time ago, and at the time I never really had the proper things to say, so I just suggested they ask someone else about this, because Krishna says that he says that if you surrender unto him, that he'll deliver you from all sinful reactions, and that you should not fear this. But then at the same time, we see sometimes devotees go through things that seem like they're still receiving sinful reactions. So what is the statement by Krishna? Is it just a bunch of bogus? Is he lying to me? No. As we can see here, the difference between a materialist and a devotee is that the materialist is under the control of Maya Devi. She is giving out the punishments and this and that. He's under the control of the material world, of the material energy. But when one becomes a devotee, Krishna comes up and takes complete control of that devotee. So the punishments are completely different. It's not just punishment after punishment after punishment for whatever, and you may or may not realize what the reason behind it is or how to overcome that. But Krishna makes it in such a way, he tailors that He tailors different situations to help you overcome where you need to grow and what you have yet to let go. So, sometimes we see people may have the same problem reoccurring. Maybe it's a type of way they deal with devotees, or maybe it's how the attitude they carry about a certain thing. And so Krishna will, funny enough, make the situation happen that we don't want to happen. It sometimes even in a comical way, that seems so ridiculous. Of like, why is this happening to me? Like maybe I was just complaining about this to someone else, and now it's happening, or this or that. And it's because he's making it in such a way that this is going to help your advancement personally for you. Because as I said earlier, every individual is different. We have our strengths in some areas and our weaknesses in others. And Krishna's trying to strengthen our weaknesses. We can't do that without Krishna. We have no power to do that without Krishna. Later on, I found a little bit more that kind of talks about this from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, where it's said that the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is already in charge of the maintenance of this creation by virtue of his plenary expansion, Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. But this maintenance is not direct. However, when the Lord says that he takes charge of his pure devotee, he actually takes direct charge. A pure devotee is a soul who is forever surrendered to the Lord, just as a child is surrendered to his parents or an animal to its master. In the surrendering process, actually, we'll get back to that part, because then we'll expand more on that. But again, right here, it's explained that Krishna takes direct charge. So this can be likened to children with their parents. The ones that are independent, they're doing everything on their own. They're like, no, I can do it. Whether they can do it or not. The parent tends to kind of be like, okay, I'll let you try to do your thing. They won't try to argue it so much generally. Whereas, like a younger child, they completely depend on the parent. Hey, mom, do this for me. Hey, dad, can I get this? Whatever it may be, they're like fully dependent on their parent. And in this way, the parent has love for both children, but the parent gives specific attention to the one that depends fully on them because it's needed. And in this way, we should also learn to become is this fully dependent on Krishna, just like a little kid is fully dependent on their parent. Because in reality, we can't do anything. It's ridiculous to think that we can do anything. You think you're strong, you think you have the intelligence, you think you have memory, you think you have all this. All of these things could be taken away from you in an instant. Krishna is the one giving you strength. Krishna is the one giving you intelligence. Krishna is the one giving you remembrance. Krishna is the one providing all of these things. All that you really, truly have power to do is make the decision between, do I truly want to serve Krishna or do I truly want to serve myself? And from there on goes to whatever actions you're able to do. I can say I want to move this arm, but just because I desire it doesn't mean it's going to move. I can say I want to do so many things, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to do it. But if I desire that I want to serve Krishna, and that's my true desire, Krishna will set it up in such a way that I'll learn how to serve him and I'll start coming out of my material consciousness. Whereas if I want to truly serve myself, then I'll be given the intelligence to do that, and my desires will be fulfilled for that. But even then, just because I desire something doesn't mean I'm going to get it. It depends on my karma at that point, whether I get or don't receive. Whether it's happiness or distress, or a beautiful wife, whatever it may be, these things won't come unless they're in my karma. So ultimately, our biggest thing that we can do is desire. Where are you putting your desire? And from where you put your desire is where Krishna is going to allow you to either do or not do certain things. So to go on with this part of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, a pure devotee is a soul who is forever surrendered to the Lord, just as a child is surrendered to his parents, or an animal to his master. In the surrendering process, one should, 1, accept things favorable for discharging devotional service. 2, reject things unfavorable. 3, believe firmly in the Lord's protection. 4, feel exclusively dependent on the mercy of the Lord. And 5, have no interest separate from the interests of the Lord. And 6, always feel oneself meek and humble. So this is the 6 limbs of surrender, also known as Sharanagati. Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote about this, but he also has several songs under Sharanagati. Does anybody happen to know where in the Chaitanya Charitamrita you could find this exact thing? So in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 22:100, it says, Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyatati vishwaso goptritve varanam tata atmanikshepa karpanye shadvidha sharnagati. So this is the verse that explains the 6 exact things that I explained. And you can check that out in there further about that. But one of the big things about this is mentioned in Nectar Devotion 39. To always to feel inability without the help of Krishna, and always to think oneself inferior to Krishna, even though one may have full capacity to perform something on his own. So maybe we do have intelligence, maybe we do have power, maybe we do have these things at our disposal, but what this is basically saying is that we should remember where this is coming from. You know, great demigods like Lord Indra and Lord Brahma, who have so much control over the heavenly planets or the material world in general, even they are getting their power from Krishna. Everyone's getting their power from Krishna. This was something that Prahlad Maharaj explained to his father Hiranyakashipu, is that this power that you have is ultimately coming from Krishna, coming from Vishnu. So we should always feel ourselves in such a way that it's not us that are able to do it. It's the power Krishna has given us that is giving us the ability to do these things. So I try to go a little further into these 6 limbs of surrender. I didn't have too much time to go as deep as I would have liked to have gone, and maybe I will for future class go more into it. But so this is stuff that I found mixed between what Prabhupada has mentioned and also a little bit of what Bhaktivinoda Thakur has mentioned about this process. So 1, the devotee has to accept that is favorable for the rendering of transcendental loving service to the Lord. So there's 3 ways that are described that this can be done: physically, mentally, and verbally. I only put down the physically because the rest was a bit much, and honestly, I couldn't fully comprehend it last night. But I'll talk about the physical way that you can apply this. So there's 5 different ways. So The first one is the path of tasting. This is how to engage your senses in this way. So tasting prasadam, we're not out here eating just ordinary food from karmis or meat, fish, eggs. We're not eating these specific things. We're eating specifically what is offered to Krishna first. Because it is described in the Bhagavad Gita even that we should do that. Because one, why would you not want to eat something that's been eaten by Krishna? And it has so many benefits both spiritually and physically. It is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita that eating just food that is not offered to Krishna, you're eating sin, because ultimately, even though we're not killing plants, even though we're not necessarily killing an animal, we're still killing a plant. A life is a life. There's still a reaction for that. Anything not directed to Krishna has some type of reaction to it, good or bad. So if you're eating for your own enjoyment, you're killing these plants, these germs, all these things, you have to take your reaction for that. There's a punishment for it. But, you offer your prasadam, your bhoga, which, no fish, no eggs, no meat, things like that, no onions, no garlic. Krishna will gladly accept it. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati taraham bhakti paritam mashnami prayatamana. If one offers me in love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I'll accept it. So simple. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant. And the main thing that he mentions is with love. That is what he's going for. God does not need our food. He does not need anything from us. He is self-sufficient. But what he does not have from us, which is the only thing that he does not have, is our love. Our love is missing. He wants that. And he tries so many yugas to try to revive that. So, prasadam, this is how we favorably accept something for the tongue. Second is the path of hearing. So only listening to Hari Katha, Bhakta Katha, and those topics related to Hari. So there's so many topics to listen to, so many different types of music to listen to, so many things that we could listen to. But what is the use of all this? Is it really anything beneficial to us? Is it beneficial to our relationship with Krishna or our bhakti? Ultimately, what is the ultimate truth? What is our goal? Are we trying to listen to enjoy? That's not the right mentality. We should be listening about Lord Hari, because ultimately we are enjoying is still coming from God. Even if you're enjoying this genre of music or this or that, all these things are still emanating from Krishna, who is the source of all these things. So why not just talk about the source and listen about the source of where all these things that, even in the mundane sense, are coming from Krishna. Third is the path of seeing. So many things to see. You go to the Grand Canyon, Statue of Liberty, Eiffel Tower, so many different types of things to go see. But darshan of the deity, the Vaishnavas, the various beautiful places of Bhagavan's Leela and pictures the Lord's pastimes, etc. This is the perfection of your sight. You're using your senses to associate with the Lord and to serve the Lord. What is more beautiful than the Lord himself? The Lord is so merciful, he comes down in the Archa Vigraha form for us so that we can see, because with material eyes, you cannot see. You cannot see. What is your qualification? These eyes can't even see in the dark. These eyes can't even see all the stars. So what qualification do you have to see the Lord? But the Lord is so nice that he comes down in the deity form of marble, wood, and so forth, so that we can see him and so that we can serve him. Fourth is the path of using one's hands, feet, and body only to use them in Bhagavad Seva and Vaishnava Seva. So we have these working senses, these working limbs. What was the protection of these? What do we do with these? Do we just focus on all the time, or working out and getting big, or any of these other things that we could do with it? Not saying that you can't use these in service, but if this is your ultimate focus, then what is the use of it? 5, the path to smelling. So, accepting the scent of tulasi flowers, sandalwood, and other fragrances that are offered to Krishna is the only way. So many things could be offered to Krishna that we can smell. And okay, that was all 5. So in this way, we can accept things that are favorable to our service on a physical level. So 2, he must reject everything unfavorable to Lord's service. This is also called renunciation. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains this as, I will not eat anything except the prasad of the Lord and his devotees. I will not look at anything except for temples and the Lord and his devotees. I will not smell anything except for prasad. I will not listen to anything except Harikatha. I will not engage my hands, feet, or body in that which is not connected to Bhagavan. I will not meditate upon, deliberate upon, or relish anything else. I will not recite or sing any other poetry or songs. Such a compilation of topics is rejecting those things which are unfavorable. But hold up, that sounds crazy, right? Well, he goes on to say that this is very difficult for a person residing in the material world. It should be done as far as possible, for without endeavoring to observe this ekantiki bhakti, or exclusive firm devotion, will be extremely difficult to, will be extremely difficult to achieve. So it's going to be hard. It's expected to be hard. We're so conditioned. But if we want to get exclusive from devotion, we should try as far as we're able to. Does it mean artificially renounce? Not necessarily, if it's going to be something that you're thinking about constantly, and when you develop it, you contemplate it, then you develop the lust for it, and then anger falls till you fall back down the material plane. So no, it's not that you just falsely give this up, but go as far as you can, keep following the bhakti process, and the rest will follow. So 3, a devotee must be firmly convinced that Krishna will give him protection. No one else can actually give one protection, and being firmly convinced of this is called faith. This kind of faith is different from the faith of an impersonalist who wants to merge into the Brahman effulgence in order to benefit by cessation of repeated birth and death. The devotee wants to remain always in Lord's service. In this way, Krishna is merciful to his devotees and gives him all protection from the dangers found on the path of devotional service. So Krishna, he's the control of the material world. He can manipulate the material world. He can protect us. If Krishna wants to protect you, no one can kill you. If Krishna wants to kill you, no one can protect you. So we should seek refuge in Krishna and completely depend on him in that way. 4, the devotee should accept Krishna as his supreme maintainer and master. He should not think that he is being protected by a demigod. He should depend only on Krishna, considering him the only protector. The devotee must be firmly convinced that within 3 worlds, he has no protector or maintainer other than Krishna. Again. 5, self-surrender means remembering that one's activities and desires are not independent. The devotee is completely dependent on Krishna, and he acts and thinks as Krishna desires. And 6, the devotee is meek and humble. So in this way, you try to practice this. We can make ourselves the best offering to Krishna. Because as I mentioned earlier, Krishna doesn't need anything from us. All these things, if we think that we own any of these things, we own, my phone, I own this water, this table, I own my car, I own this, I own that, and I'm going to make that an offering. That's the wrong mentality. None of these things belong to me to begin with. These are all Krishna's. But it's learning how to use what Krishna has gifted us that we're allowed to have in our possession, take care of it, and how to use it in his service. You know, if I have, let's say, a child, I'm not just going to make him do whatever I want him to do and ultimately become my little servant. I'm going to engage him in Krishna service. Krishna gifted me someone in my care and my guidance. So in that sense, I'm going to do what I can to make sure that he knows Krishna and that he knows how to love and serve Krishna in the proper way and how to go throughout the material world. If I have a car or I have a phone, I'm going to figure out a way to engage this in Krishna service, not for my own pleasure, not for my own senses. So this surrendering process helps us to navigate through the material world because you're going to have distresses come upon you. This is a place of distress. The material world is not meant for a spiritual being. So we're going to have distresses come to us, and we're not used to that in our spiritual form. You know, in the spiritual form, we're eternal, knowledgeable, and full of bliss. But in the material world, we die early, we get sick, we don't remember anything, we're not intelligent, and oftentimes we're unhappy because whatever we do want, the little happiness we do get fades away. So when we understand how to properly go about doing these things, we know how to surrender to Krishna, and that even when bad things come to us, we know that it is Krishna trying to help us advance and trying to help us detach from this material world so that we can fully give ourselves as the best offering to Krishna, because only ourselves can we offer to Krishna. That's what Krishna is wanting. Krishna has everything. He owns all this material world. He owns this material body within. He owns all this, but what he does not own or have is our love, devotion to him, exclusively to him. We have it diverted to so many things in this world. And all he wants is that we focus that same energy, that same thing that we're looking for towards him, because this is a part and parcel of Krishna, as a part and parcel of God, is that we have this loving connection, this loving devotion to God. So I think I will end here in case anybody has any questions or comments that they would like to add. Let's go to Sandar Prabhu.
And you mentioned about everything has a life. Animals have a life, and also vegetable. So that's true what you say. And some people they say I'm vegan, and we don't use no milk product, everything. But you can be a vegan, but if you take these animals alive, their life, and don't offer nothing in exchange, because in this world, everything you do, you have to exchange. So the exchange we do as Krishna devotee, we taking life also, but we offer them by chanting, the prayer to Krishna. We offer them, we promote them, or like they used to do in animal horse sacrifice, used to promote them a higher life, better life. So a person can say, I'm vegan, but you still eat sin, you still eat burger. Because you can be a vegan everything, but if you don't exchange, if you don't give, if you don't promote this poor vegetable a better life by offering to Krishna, so your veganness is useless. You go to you suffer your karma like people who eating meat.
Veganism just becomes a vegan seed.
Yeah, that's right. So
Vegan seed.
yeah,
Nobody
vegan seed.
Nobody home.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. I think that's a good point that you bring up, because being vegetarian or vegan is definitely higher, because plants don't have the same consciousness of animals, because animals, they see the pain and the imminent threat, and so they're fearful right before death, whereas plants, it's not quite the same, but you're still causing that death and pain still. And everything
them.
needs to have an exchange, and the cool part about that is that everyone benefits when we do that. So when you offer these plants, these flowers and all that, those plants and flowers also get some type of benefit. To what extent, I'm not knowledgeable on, but they still get benefit. Everyone benefits in Krishna Bhakti.
It's only in Krishna consciousness, I have to say. I challenge any people outside. Only in Krishna consciousness, because they say in the book, they say there is no qualifying brahmanas can do the animal sacrifices. The karma is not qualified to give to give this animal a better life. So only by becoming a Krishna devotee, we can promote them, the animals, or especially vegetable, a better life, because we know the mantra. Srila Prabhupada bring the mantra to us. So there is no qualifying brahmana, but we're not qualifying also. Even we are doing, we're not qualifying. But Srila Prabhupada bring the mantra how to promote, how to be qualified to offer this vegetable and make them have a better life. A better life, and promote them to a better life. So that is an exchange. But the people outside, what they do? No exchange. They just take their life without nothing. Like, for example, you give me something, I don't give you nothing in exchange. You go to the store, you buy stuff, and you don't pay. You're a thief. So when you take an animal's life, you take a vegetable life, and you don't give nothing in exchange, you're a thief. You do criminal activities.
Beautiful. Thank you, Prabhu. Nadia, did you have something? It looks like you were itching to say something.
I just had a couple quick thoughts. One was you were talking about the 6 limbs of surrender, and it makes me think it seems like you mostly take anything you've learned in the regular world and you just take the opposite, and that's Krishna consciousness. I was also thinking you talked about the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So I was thinking technically the more squeaky wheel of a kirtan we do, the more mercy and connection we'll get. And then I was thinking, we think if we move our arm, like you were saying, that it's us doing it. But Ganga Mantri Prabhu was telling me how, like our heart, like our any of our organs and all the automatic functions in our body, are just going by themselves, or in other words, by Krishna. So like in that same way, we can realize how we're really not doing anything. That kind of hit me hard when I said that. I was like, whoa, yeah. Like we think we're moving our arm, but are we really doing anything else that's happening in our body? So another thing I was thinking of as seeing Krishna as our soul protector, how important that is, because the future can be scary without having that thought. So having our own like soul knight, the personal knight that's with us all the time, and protecting us and looking out for us is what I think about. That's the only thing that can give us peace and happiness, Yeah. Because without that, it's like, man, what's the future got in store for me? But with that, you're cool as a cucumber, So howdy bo.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Great points. All right, well, with that, we'll end here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you.